Trigger warning. This video includes content about suicide. If you're in a dark place, please use discretion. As a writer, this has probably been the toughest story for me to write. I wish I could give you a happy fairy tale and erase my real memories, but I have to tell my truth. I know that my story will help other people understand mental illness, and most importantly, I will help people realize that they're not alone. My story begins with the darkness that overcomes your world, clouds your mind, and develops into hopelessness. On May 17th, 2016, I attempted suicide for the second time in my life. I wanted to end all of the pain, and I wanted to drown in my depression. I had no faith in seeking help or praying that there was a light at the end of the tunnel. I called my parents right before I proceeded to cut my wrist. And I was laying on the kitchen floor, my eyes closed, and I silently cried while my parents begged me to not give up on life. "Please, Casman, don't do this," my daddy cried. "Please, live for me." And that's the only reason I'm here, to write my story. My neighbors found me, took me to the hospital, and the next morning I was admitted to Peachford Mental Hospital in Atlanta, Georgia. I stayed in the hospital for 3 days, and at first I refused to believe that I belonged there. I thought that I was stronger than the other patients, and I desperately begged to leave and continue my chaotic life. I was a writer, a blogger, and playwright. I had rehearsals to direct, a cast to manage, and 2 shows to put on at the end of June. Most importantly, I had a goal to live life like the rest of the normal world. However, once I accepted the fact that I had to put my mental health on the forefront, I knew that nothing else mattered until I received the help that I needed, the help that I deserved. And I met the most amazing women while in the hospital. For so long, I had battled with depression and my phobias, and I felt so alone. But at Peachford, I was able to find women who could relate to me. We were like a group of superheroes with secret powers that the rest of the world couldn't handle. Sometimes we couldn't even handle our own powers. So after I was released from the hospital, my parents picked me up, and they, along with my oldest sister, helped me pack all of my belongings for my 1-bedroom apartment. I was so anxious, frustrated, and angry at myself. How could I let myself down like this? Yet, at the same time, I was glad my family was there to rescue me from my life. I had to break my lease and move from Atlanta back to Alabama with my parents to seek much needed therapy, and that's where I am now. And so that's how I pretty much ended up sitting on my old bed in my old bedroom while writing this story to share with you. Although I don't know what the future has in store for me, I no longer allow PTSD, depression, and anxiety to dictate my life. Right before I attempted suicide, I had barricaded myself in my apartment. I was afraid to leave because of my fear of cats, and I felt so alone. I don't think anybody can really relate to it. Only a few people understand how confined and empty you feel when you're living with a phobia. No one realizes how many times I would sit in my car for 2 hours hiding, afraid of my neighbor's cats. And once I was finally capable of getting out of my car, I never made it to my apartment door without peeing on myself. Welcome to my life. The last few months that I lived in Atlanta were mentally torture. I was just mentally unhealthy and lacked support. I think that's why I have a hate-love relationship with that amazing city, even if the traffic is brutal. No one said that life is always roses and cupcakes with extra sprinkles. Life isn't always easy, but I'm devoted to ending the stigma of mental illness. I no longer suffer from it, but I fight it every day, and I will continue to fight it because I am not a victim. I'm a survivor. I will conquer this, even if it's only because I need to for someone else. I just want others to know that you're not alone and we can survive together. Please, please just don't give up on yourself. And I'm not writing or making these videos as if I'm not still fighting depression. Um, the suicidal thoughts have gotten better and I'm able to combat them. But depression is just something you have to learn to cope with. So, coming from someone who totally 100% understands the agony of depression and bipolar and anxiety, if I can just say anything, just don't be so hard on yourself. If for one day you're able to just get out the bed and watch something and laugh, then congratulations, because you did that. And the next day, it might be a little bit harder for you to get up and feel that happiness that you once felt. But if you can remember and hold on to something that gives you hope, then that will drive you to continue to live. Just take it one day at a time. Just please don't ever give up.